I think most people would universally agree that if you want to get better at something, you have to practice. Practicing is the key to getting better. You've got to spend the time. And honestly, you've got to spend a lot of time. And that's easier said than done because there always seems to be these roadblocks and detours that get us off track. And somehow that great intention of practicing turns into something else. And that one thing we need to do, spend time on our instrument, just doesn't happen. So what's the hardest thing about practicing? Well, it's not the scales. It's not the long tones. It's not even that frustrating stuff that just takes us forever. It's simply just opening the case. You can have all the motivation in the world, but if the horn stays in the case, nothing happens. And we all do this. We all wait until we feel like it. And that's the trap. Recently, I heard Wynton Marsalis say something that really stuck with me. He said that discipline isn't about starting something. It's about stopping something. And that's huge because we think discipline is like, all right, I'm going to go practice now and I'm going to make myself do that. But actually, it's, I'm not going to scroll on my phone right now. I'm not going to watch something on TV. I'm not going to play a video game. It's choosing practice over something else. So a few years ago, my friend Branford Marsalis was playing a concert here in my town, and my son and I offered to transport him to and from the show. And on the car ride down, I mentioned that my son also played the saxophone, and Branford said, "Hey, that's great. How much do you practice?" So my son was taken off guard, and he was really kind of feeling the heat of the question at that moment because he realized that the only answer that he could give wouldn't be very impressive for Branford. So fumbling for words and trying to justify himself a little bit, he said, "Well, you see, I have to walk to and from school, and if I just maybe had a second saxophone at home, maybe I'd practice a little more." And I was kind of like, and there was this awkward silence in the car. After which Branford looked at him and said, "How you doing, lazy?" And my son learned a valuable lesson that day that if you want to get better at something, there might be a small amount of inconvenience that comes along with that. So let's make this stupid easy. Let's narrow it down to 3 things we can do to have better practice. I think number 1 is just get the instrument out of the case. Don't tell yourself that you're going to sit there and practice for an hour. Just say, I'm going to open the case and I'm going to play something. That's it. Because once you start, you almost always keep going. I tell my students that when they get home from school, even if they don't plan to practice right then, open the case, assemble the instrument, put it on the stand. Now there's no excuse. And you've just removed the first roadblock to practicing, which is having the instrument ready to go. Then I think number 2 is just finding the time. When are you going to practice? If you don't decide when, it's probably not going to happen. So instead of saying I'll practice later, pick a time. An actual time right after dinner, before I check my phone in the morning, 10 minutes before I leave the house. Whatever it is, attach your practice session to something that already exists in your day. Put it in your calendar. Make it something that you can repeat on schedule. And you can keep this small if you want. This doesn't have to be long practice sessions. Consistency is better than long sessions that you only do once in a while. Another thing I heard Wynton Marsalis say is that it's not so much what you study, but it's the discipline of studying. By building habits, you're engaging the reward center of your brain. And once practicing becomes a habit, you'll actually want to keep coming back and doing it. So one thing I think about with this is running. If you ever talk to a runner, most of them when they started will tell you that they hated it. And every time they went, it just kind of felt like a chore. But after a few days of doing it consistently, something changes. They start waking up wanting to go run. They start craving it all day long. It's this pattern development that has just created a desire. And practicing is the same thing. If you do it consistently, eventually you'll crave the practice. Practicing for an hour or 2, it's going to feel like nothing. And the best part is when you're done, you're going to feel really good. And then the third thing I think that you have to do is you need to see progress. If it feels like you're not getting better, it stops being fun. And when it's not fun, you stop. So find a way to track your progress. Record yourself once a week. If you're working on speeding a passage up, log your tempos. See where you're at today versus tomorrow. Tracking yourself doesn't have to be complicated. You just need proof that what you're doing is working. Because when you hear yourself improving, that's when practicing becomes addictive. So practicing does not need to be difficult. Get it out of the case, plan a time where you can be consistent, and track your progress. Okay? No excuses. Do the work.